What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into my Week 16 NFL Power Rankings. This is crazy. It's already Week 16. I feel like it was just Week 1, like a month ago. It has been a fast season right now. We're just coming off one of the craziest weeks I have seen in a very long time. So let's dive right into it. Starting out right now, number 32, the bottom team, the Houston Texans. The Texans nearly pulled off a big upset again this week over the Kansas City Chiefs. If it wasn't for a fumble, they would have won that game. So that's 2 weeks in a row against two top teams, in my opinion, that they nearly beat, which is impressive for Houston. But still, the team has grit. That is for sure. They've been showing it over the past 2 weeks. It's just the lack of talent is there for this team. But they can clearly exploit some weaknesses in some of these other teams and potentially pull off an upset like we saw with Houston right there. So good week for a moral win for the Texans, which is probably for the best because they want that number 1 overall pick. This season is lost at this point. So I say this is just fine if you're a Houston Texans fan. Be competitive, build off of some of these pieces into the future, and get the top pick in next year's draft. Moving on to number 31, we're going to have the Arizona Cardinals staying at the same spot. Colt McCoy against Brett Rippon this week. Just doesn't sound very good on paper. Without Kyler Murray, this team is just lost defensively, offensively, you name it. It's just not a very good team, and it's actually close to being one of the worst team in the league, in my opinion, actually. It's just really bad here in Arizona. I don't like this team really at all. Without Murray in there. They got a few playmakers, but just not enough. Moving on to number 30, we're going to have the Indianapolis Colts dropping down 2 spots and into this bad tier, blowing a 33-point lead at halftime. Now, how they got to that 33-point lead, it was honestly pretty much more luck, I would say. A lot of crazy things went the Colts' way. Things are going to happen like that in the NFL for your team, and you're going to get lucky sometimes, but you got to finish off a game. If you're Indy, you cannot blow that big of a lead to Minnesota. I know the season's basically lost for the Colts anyway. I mean, if they won that game, they may have had a chance to come back because the Titans, there'd only be a game and a half back on Tennessee, I believe. Yeah, so this one probably hurts for the Colts. They're looking towards the next season. They've already benched Matt Ryan again, and they're starting Nick Foles. The quarterback carousel continues in Indianapolis, and it is just not very good for Jeff Saturday's start to his career. Moving on to number 29, we're going to have Chicago Bears jumping up a spot. The Chicago Bears sitting at 3-11. This week, actually, were pretty competitive against the Eagles, but it's just not a winning formula. The defense, even though they got a couple interceptions in this game, they're still allowing a lot of points. They just can't get stops. It's just not enough talent. And then the offense is basically Justin Fields and nobody. It's the Justin Fields show. And he's keeping them competitive, but it's just not enough to win games, and that's why this team is not very good. But then again, if you're a Bears fan, very similar to the Texans, this is not bad. This season's probably going how you would probably want it. Justin Fields is your guy. You're going to be able to get a top pick in this draft. And then you got a lot of salary cap to build on Fields this offseason. So I would say the Bears' future is bright right now, but they still just need it's just not a very good team this season, really, at all. Moving on to number 28, we're going to have the LA Rams dropping down 2 spots. So Baker Mayfield and the Rams offense comes back down to earth this week against the Green Bay Packers. Just really couldn't move the football at all. The defense has some good playmakers in here with Bobby Wagner. I do believe Donald is coming back. And obviously Jalen Ramsey. Just other than that, the defense really isn't there. It's just an average defense, and it's just not a very good team. Even with Baker Mayfield competing, we saw their flaws on Monday night. And they're just, without Cooper Kupp, without Stafford, it's just a bottom feeder team right now. Coming off a Super Bowl win, which is just crazy to think about. Moving on to number 27, we're going to have the Denver Broncos jumping up 2 spots here. Denver this week beats the the Cardinals. That's not saying much, though, for Brett Rippon and company. But the offense was able to figure some things out. They finally were able to play good, pick apart a defense. The O-line played better. The receivers played a lot better. With Wilson coming back, if we could see another good week from Wilson, the Broncos aren't going to be like as disastrous as it might think going into next season if Russell Wilson can get back to playing like he used to do, which I do believe he can. He played good last week. Coming off that concussion injury, I do believe he's going to be playing this week on Christmas Day against the LA Rams, which is just kind of a bad game, honestly, for a Christmas Day game. But anyway, let's go on to the decent tiers. Starting out with number 26, we're going to have the Atlanta Falcons at 5-9, jumping up a spot. If you look at Atlanta this season, the Falcons, just kind of a weird team. Oh, by the way, they are actually in the hunt tier, actually. So, because all these NFC South teams, they're only a game back. But yeah, the Falcons, they got enough offensive weapons. But this week, again, Desmond Ridder does not look good this week. No wonder why they waited so long to not start him against, I believe, they played the Saints. So, yeah, not a good week for Atlanta. Ridder, they're trying to test him out at this point, just see if he has it or if they can take a quarterback in next year's draft. They got a lot of building to do on this defense. It's still a long way for this Falcons team to be ready for, to be a competitive team. I do like Smith as their coach, but still, the Falcons just have a long way to go. Moving on to number 25, we're going to have the New Orleans Saints. I know it's kind of weird to see that decent tier empty right now, but it is what it is. The Saints at 5-9 right now, getting the win over the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to be staying at the same spot. New Orleans, basically the same team I've suspected them to be. Their defense has really stepped it up over the past couple months. They've sustained some very close losses. Honestly, I do think the Saints might be the best team in the NFC South right now. It's close, though. They're just too inconsistent on a week-to-week basis. The offense, if they're playing at their high level, this team is the best team in the NFC South, but it's hard to tell. Andy Dalton's very inconsistent. Their offense just is either off or on every week, and it's just not a winning formula as you see at 5-9 right now. So the Saints still have a ways to go in this rebuild as well. Let's move on to number 24. We're going to have the Carolina Panthers dropping down a spot, losing to the Steelers. This is just a very matchup-dependent football team. If this team, if they could have the right matchups on defense with Burns and with they got a few playmakers on that side of the ball, this defense could be very good, but then again, it can't when teams are able to pick apart that defense. And then if a team can run over a team, like, say, the Panthers did a couple weeks ago to Seattle, they can, but the Steelers just were not having it. They just stopped the Panthers on the run game, and it's just not a winning formula when you have Sam Darnold as your quarterback. So the Panthers are just a very matchup-dependent team. That's what I've come to notice from them right now. And, yeah, they're just not very good. I'm going to be straight up honest. The Panthers are just not a very good team. Let's go to number 23. We're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going to be jumping up a spot here. So the Steelers this week handle their business against the Carolina Panthers at 6-8. Their season's basically lost at this point, I would say. But, I guess there's still hope for Pittsburgh right now. They got a good defense. If Mike Tomlin, if he could win 3 straight games, he will still never have a losing season. That's basically the goal if you're a Steelers fan at this point on. So hopefully for Tomlin, he can get that. But yeah, at the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-8, Kenny Pickett's playing solid this season. I think he's going to be their guy for quite some time. The defense, obviously, with TJ Watt is much better. That has come to fruition this season, definitely. But the Steelers just have a lack of talent. They're going to need to build off of it in the offseason. All right, number 22, the Buccaneers dropping down 5 spots here. I think this is 2 weeks late. I gave the Buccaneers a little bit of slack. they didn't play too bad this week against the Bengals. They actually played really good in the first half. They were leading, I believe, 17-6. Brady was moving the football well. The defense was playing good against the Bengals, but it just was not enough for the Buccaneers. They just completely disappeared. The defense went back to their bad, just average ways in the second half. And the Bucs are just what we know they are right now. They're just a bad football team led by one of the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, who really hasn't played great this season, but who's going to count him out? He always seems to surprise. So, yeah, I'm giving the Buccaneers some slack right now, but it has not been pretty in Tampa. Moving on to number 21, we're going to have the Cleveland Browns staying at the same spot. Just handled their business against the Ravens. Their defense played better this week, but got a couple lucky breaks in that game against the Baltimore Ravens. Huntley throwing an interception in the red zone, a few fumbles, but and then Deshaun Watson had his best game yet as a Cleveland Brown, but still it's not been very good. Nick Chubb was able to run the football, and they were able to score 13 points or whatever and get a win. So just say a AFC North battle kind of type game there, and the Browns just got the better of them. Still, really doesn't change my opinion on the Browns. The defense is very underwhelmed this season, and I just don't really trust this team. Moving to number 20, we're going to have the New York Giants actually going to be staying at the same spot. So a lot of P fans probably going to be confused why the Giants are staying at the same spot at 8-5-1. Maybe I'm disrespecting the Giants a little bit too much here. They got a good win this week against the Commanders. Don't get me wrong. The Giants played well in this game. Kayvon Thibodeau went all out. Should have been the number one overall pick, in my opinion. I have said this from day one. But yeah, the Giants, very good football team all around. Very solid football team, coaching-wise, with Brian Daboll. They just have injuries this season that's kind of slowed them down, but they got the better of the Washington Commanders. So they came out with a good game plan in that game. Then again, they got a couple lucky breaks. We saw that stupid call in the red zone where it took back the touchdown for the Commanders, and then a missed PI call at the last play of the game for Washington. So I do think that the Giants got a few lucky breaks, but still, they won the game fair and square. So you got to give credit where credit's due to the New York Giants. I still don't really trust this team going into the playoffs, so I'm going to be fully honest. Let's move on to number 19. We're going to have the Las Vegas Raiders, also going to be staying at the same spot. Crazy win for the Raiders this week. Wow. The Las Vegas Raiders get very lucky at the end there with that interception by Jones and that missed call for the touchdown, where I don't think that was a touchdown when they reviewed it. But still, the Raiders, they were able to get the job done. I still do think that they are a solid team here. The defense, still not very good. They got a few playmakers in Jones and Mack, but the secondary is not very good really at all. And the offense, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs can really move the ball effectively against a good Patriots defense. So that's really what the Raiders are right now at 19. Their season's pretty much lost at this point, though, at 6-8. I don't see them going on a playoff run or really anything. So, that's where the Raiders are right now. All right, dropping down 3 spots here at number 18, we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, this team's a hard team to rank right now because Lamar Jackson, is he coming back this week? Is he not? I'm not sure. Really, I do think he should, but I'm going to judge this team with Tyler Huntley right now. It's just not a very good offense with Huntley. They're able to move the ball sometimes, but then make mistakes. And the offense, it's just not a winning formula. This team is lucky to be 9-5 right now because of Jackson's great play earlier this season. So with Tyler Huntley, this team would be, 6-8 or whatever right now. It's just with him in, it's not a very good football team, but the defense, has really stepped it up. You got to give credit to this defense. They play very well again in this game. Give their offense an opportunity to come back and win this one, and the offense just couldn't get the job done. So the Ravens, we'll see with Lamar Jackson. If he plays like he has, this team should take a big jump next week. If he plays, of course. Moving on to number 17, and I'm putting this team in the hunt here. Jumping up 5 spots, we have the Green Bay Packers. 6-8 right now. The Packers, big time win this week against the Rams. I don't know how much stock to put into that defensive, game from the Packers, because really Joe Barry's squad has not been good all season. But then they have this one good game against the Rams. Maybe it was the bye week. They were able to figure some things out, but they're going to play the Dolphins now. That's the real true test for the Packers defense. And then Rodgers just playing like he has. They're able to run the football effectively, and the Packers are a solid enough team to get the job done. It's just a weird team to rank, though, because they're so often on, But they really have played better over the past few weeks, and their playoffs hope are not dead yet. They're a game and a half back on the Commanders right now. So the Packers are still there right now. They everything they want still in front of them. We'll see if they can take it. Going to number 16, we're going to have the Washington Commanders staying at the same spot here at 7-6-1. The Commanders, just rough loss. Again, like I said, the refs kind of screwed them up at the end there. But still, the Giants played like the better team that game. The Commanders' offense really, Taylor Heineke's making mistakes right now. He's just not a very good starting quarterback. I'm going to be fully honest. I think he should just be a backup, but they have Carson Wentz below him. So, the Commanders' defense kind of underwhelmed this game. I still do think it's a very good unit there in Washington. But Ron Rivera's squad, a rough loss here for them to take. Now they're a half a game ahead of the Seahawks and the Lions right now. So the playoff picture is not locked in yet for Washington. They've got to win some games, and we'll see if they can make it. But right now, I don't think they're one of the 7 best teams in the NFC conference. I guess they are, but one of the wild card teams. One of the, you know what I mean. At least caliber team. But anyway, going to number 15, we're going to have the New England Patriots dropping down 2 spots. Wow. I have no idea what Jacoby Myers was doing. Bill Belichick had to rip him up at the end of that. Man, what was he thinking? Just chucking that ball into harm's way. Just a horrible play by Myers. And the Patriots had a chance to win this game. They really did. Just couldn't get it done. They just couldn't. But then again, that touchdown got called back. I do think the Patriots are a better team than the Raiders, and they probably deserve to win that game. Mac Jones, the offense is just so inconsistent. Just play decent enough against a bad Raiders defense, but you don't really put enough stock into that. Could have gone into overtime, and this could have been a different story. So the defense did not play well in this game. I'm going to be honest. They didn't play up to their standards, I would say, of the season. But I don't think it's their fault. That one touchdown should have been called back. But who knows? The Raiders probably scored anyway, even if it is. So you can't really complain about that. The Patriots just threw away this game. And now they're in a rough spot at 7-7 out of the playoff picture, I believe. Going to number 14, we're going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars jumping up 4 spots. The Jaguars, big time week. They are 6-8. They just beat the Dallas Cowboys. What a win for Jacksonville right there. Trevor Lawrence has looked very good over the past couple games. He is throwing the ball. He's throwing the rock very well. The offense is moving the football pretty effectively. The defense still definitely has its worries, but this team fought. Doug Peterson's squad fought till the very end, and it paid off. And now the Jaguars, they control their own destiny right now because they got another game against the Titans to finish off the year. So this Jaguars team could take the AFC South Conference, which is really crazy to think about. But yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars, very solid week and very solid win over the Dallas Cowboys. Moving on to number 13, sorry. We're going to have the Tennessee Titans dropping down a spot here. The Titans at 7-7, just barely ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. Now, I know the Jaguars beat them. I'm still going to keep the Titans above. The Titans' defense played a lot better this week against the Chargers. We're able to get a few plays, make Justin Herbert make some mistakes, but then in the end, Herbert just did his thing, and it ended bad for the Titans. Ryan Tannehill goes down with an injury in that game. I'm not sure about his status, but it might just be time to start Malik Willis, see what you got in the young kid, because obviously he is a boomer bust prospect, so you never know what you can have with him. But the Titans right now at 13, still playing solid football for Tennessee, very well coached team, but right now their crown for the AFC South Conference is slipping away, and they've got to figure some things out. Going to number 12, we're going to have the New York Jets jumping up 2 spots. The New York Jets this week lose tough to the Detroit Lions, But yeah, the Jets, just a very rough way to lose. I mean, Zach Wilson he played decent enough in this game. I do think this team, rallies a little bit more around Mike White at this point on, and Zach Wilson's just not the player. So if Mike White's in, this offense can be a little bit more effective, but I don't really think it makes too much of a difference between those two. Whoever plays, whatever. But the defense, it's just a very good defense here for New York. Like we've said for a while, the offense definitely has its concerns, but the New York Jets are a good football team, and I do think when it's all said and done, they're one of the 7 best teams in the AFC. So that's where I have them at number 12. Let's move on to number 11. We're going to have the Seattle Seahawks staying at the same spot. Seattle this week, rough loss to the 49ers. I mean, the offensive line just got worked. Charles Cross, the young rookie, really got worked by Nick Bosa today. I do think Cross did the best he could in that game against Bosa, but still, Seattle, just a rough loss for them. Now they've lost 4 of the past 5 games, and their playoff hopes are kind of slipping out of their hands at this point. They're not in the playoffs. I do think they're a playoff caliber team right now. Geno Smith has been making some mistakes over the past couple games, which is a worry for the Seahawks. I still trust Geno, though. The defense stepped it up on the run defense, but blew a few coverages in this one. And just a few bad breaks didn't go their way against the 49ers, and they lost a very rough loss for them. So they're going to have to bounce back. They have to play the Chiefs on Christmas Eve. As a Seahawks fan, I don't know, man. This is getting nerve-wracking for them to see. But either way, this has been a win season for Seattle. They get the Denver Broncos pick, and they played very good this season. Moving on to number 10, we're going to have the Detroit Lions staying at the same spot. The Lions this week handled their business over the Jets. Jared Goff and this offense was able to move the ball very effectively against a good Jets defense. So you like to see that if you're a Lions fan. The defense has been playing good enough over the past, definitely has turned things around. The Jets have been, the Lions have been solid. And they're a top 10 team in the NFL right now. I really do believe in this Lions team. Right now, they have a good chance to make the playoffs right now. Now, the Seahawks do own the tiebreaker over them, so they're going to have some luck there, but the Lions could make the playoffs if they keep winning right now. So that is crazy to think about when they were 1-6 or whatever, but Detroit playing very good football right now. Moving on and they also get the Rams pick, 2 very similar teams in the Lions and Seattle, very much exceeding expectations this season. Moving on to number 9, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings dropping down a spot at 11-3. Minnesota Vikings, obviously, getting down 33-0 is just not very good at all, but a lot of bad breaks didn't go their way against the Colts and just couldn't get the ball moving. But then they went back to form, really just fought hard, fought valiantly, and came back in that one to pull off a big win over the Colts, complete the greatest comeback or the biggest comeback in NFL history. So Vikings fans have got to be happy there. This defense is still not very good. I don't trust it really at all. And yeah, the Vikings are going to have to worry about that, but big win for them this week. Let's go to number 8. We're going to have the Miami Dolphins dropping down a spot. Oops, not the Cowboys. There we are, the Dolphins. Dolphins at 8-6 right now. Just a rough loss to the Bills. Just almost pulled off the win, but Josh Allen did his thing. The defense very much has been concerning me, and the Dolphins have lost a few games. I don't know, man. This team could even slip out of the playoffs at this point if they don't figure some things out. But Ryan Tannehill played good this game against the Bills. Kind of went back to not Ryan Tannehill. I don't know what I'm saying. Tua Tagovailoa played a lot better for the for the Dolphins. Sorry. But yeah, the Dolphins got a lot of playmakers, but their season's kind of slipping away from them. They've got to figure some things out to get some of these wins. Jumping up 2 spots now, we're going to have the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert and the Chargers got the job done this week against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, the defense for the Chargers, Brandon Staley, ever since he changed his system over the past couple of weeks, have played a lot more aggressive. It's been a much better team for the Chargers. Went away from that Fangio-style defense. And it's worked for the Chargers right now. They're playing a lot better. And then Justin Herbert didn't play great in this one, but he made a couple plays in the end. That was just enough for the Chargers to get the job done and win this one. So big-time win for LA. You got to love it if you're a Chargers fan right now. And they're right in the mix for the playoffs. Could be a Super Bowl caliber team right now, but I wouldn't go that far with all these injuries that have gone down for the Chargers. All right, let's go to the contender tier. Starting out with number 6, the San Francisco 49ers, and Brock Purdy got the job done this week against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, the defense for the Niners, I'm just going to throw out the number 5 team because it's very tight between these two. I'm going to explain why. The defense, best defense in the league, in my opinion. I'm still worried about this offense. There's only so much they could do with Brock Purdy. He played well against the Seahawks, but just was a game manager type. And when this team gets into long down situations, they just can't really pick up first downs. So it's really the CMC show in San Francisco. But then you got the Dallas Cowboys at number 5, who lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's tight between the Cowboys and the Niners. I do trust the Cowboys a little bit more because their ceiling's higher. Dak Prescott had a rough game, but I still believe in Prescott in this Cowboys offense. It is an inconsistent unit, just the same as the 49ers. I just trust that side of the ball a little bit more. And then the defense for the Dallas Cowboys, kind of a weird unit. They have not lived up to their expectations over the past couple games, and they've got to be better. So it's tight between the Cowboys and the 49ers right now. You could flip those two, but right now I'm just going to keep the Cowboys. I'm not going to go too much recency bias right there. Let's go to number 4. We're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs staying at the same spot, nearly losing to the Houston Texans this week. I mean, the defense for the Chiefs has clearly become an issue, but at times it just doesn't matter when you have 15 on your team. Patrick Mahomes, he is just the best player in the NFL, arguably, in my opinion. And the Chiefs just get the job done this week against the Texans. As long as you win, you win. And the Chiefs clinch the AFC West. So my opinion really doesn't change on the Chiefs. Just not a great defense, and the offense is led by Patrick Mahomes, and he can do a lot of special things. Going to number 3, we're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals staying at the same spot. The Bengals, you kind of went up to a rough start against the Buccaneers. Couldn't get a lot of things going on the offensive side of the football, but were able to in the end, and they got the job done over the Bucs. Joe Burrow and this offense, very good. The defense has some injuries, but they play good, especially in that second half against Tom Brady, and the Bengals got the job done. Again, staying at the same spot, my opinion really doesn't change on Cincinnati. Moving on to number 2, we're going to have the Buffalo Bills, who got the win over the Miami Dolphins this week at 11-3. It's tight between the number 1 team. I'm just going to throw them up there right now. But the Bills, Josh Allen, excellent player. The defense has some worries, but Josh Allen just able to do his thing. Very similar team to the Bengals and the Chiefs. but I just do think that they're a little bit better on the offense side of the ball. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, best team in the league, most complete team. Jalen Hurts made a few mistakes in this one, but he was able to get the job done.